Right, they just unalive democracy. No, I'm not being dramatic. So, all federal agencies, including independent regulatory commissions, are now subject to direct White House control. Regulations cannot be issued without presidential approval. The Office of Management and Budget can now withhold funding from independent agencies if they don't align with White House priorities. All federal employees must follow the President's and Attorney General's interpretation of the law, eliminating legal independence. A White House liaison is to be installed in every independent regulatory agency to enforce direct presidential control. This is the biggest executive power grab in U.S. history. It formally ends the concept of an independent regulatory agency, dismantling one of the last barriers to absolute executive power. The federal government no longer operates with checks and balances. Regulations and laws are now dictated solely by the president. If left unchecked, this is the moment the U.S. ceases to function as a democratic republic. Now we can go through these one by one. One, the president now controls all regulatory agencies, which means the SEC, FTC, FCC, and FEC are no longer independent. The stock market is now subject to White House control, enabling insider trading, favoritism, and targeting of political opponents. Antitrust laws can be selectively enforced, allowing administration-friendly monopolies to expand unchecked. Political opponents in the tech sector, media, or finance can be targeted with regulatory action, while allies are protected. Elections are now influenced by direct White House oversight of the Federal Election Commission. It gets better. The FDA, EPA, and consumer protection agencies are now fully politicized. Yes, drug approvals, food safety regulations, and environmental policies can be rewritten for political or corporate interests. Climate change regulations can be erased overnight. Scientific research is now subject to White House approval before public release. The implication of this, there is no longer any neutral enforcement of economic, environmental, or election laws. Everything is now dictated by political loyalty. Number two, the White House can block agency budgets or direct funds elsewhere. OMB can now adjust funding allocations for independent agencies. This gives the president the power to defund agencies without needing Congress. Regulatory agencies that challenge presidential policies will be quietly strangled of resources. Agencies loyal to the president will receive full funding, even illegally. Implication: Congress no longer controls federal spending on regulatory enforcement. The executive branch can choke out opposition agencies and reward allies. Number three, the president and attorney general have final say on all legal interpretations. All federal employees must follow White House interpretations of the law. You mean the felon is going to control the legal interpretations? Wow, what a great idea, everyone. The Attorney General's opinions override agency lawyers, inspectors general, and independent counsel. Agencies cannot adopt their own interpretations of legal statutes. Everything must align with the president's views. The president can rewrite federal legal interpretations overnight. Overnight! The implication? Legal consistency is gone. Agencies cannot push back against corrupt, illegal, or unconstitutional directives because the president's interpretation is the only interpretation allowed. Number four, installing White House liaisons in all regulatory agencies. A White House liaison will be placed in every independent agency. This ensures constant presidential oversight of daily operations. These liaisons will report agency actions back to the White House and enforce political compliance. Agency directors will no longer have the ability to act without White House approval. Implication: there is now a direct enforcement arm inside every regulatory body. Even agencies that resist presidential control will be internally monitored and controlled. All right, so every regulatory body, from financial markets to environmental protections, is now politicized. Congress no longer controls federal funding. Agencies must obey the White House or risk defunding. The president's legal interpretations override all agency autonomy, eliminating independent enforcement of federal laws. The federal bureaucracy, once designed to be resistant to corruption, is now completely subject to presidential loyalty. If you've made it this far, please be sure to share widely. I don't exactly know what to do after this point.